I love it. I love everything about it. We got Andy Ogles on the line. We're getting to Congressman Ogles in mere seconds. 6399, you won. 6399 writes in on the super text line and says, the only time Murphy will engage with texters is if you disagree with him. So, Matt, you're wrong about everything. Let's talk. Well played, 6399. Well played. Congratulations. And you're wrong, too. How about that?
Take that.
Take that. That's my high-level intellect coming out on the
what for, boy?
That's exactly. I give him the old.
Text back in for nincompoops. Vote for Jackson.
Give him the old raspberry. Hey, easy. Don't do that. So that's low. That's low for you. Yeah, and we got company. Don't show out in front of company. Congressman Andy Ogles is here. Obviously, Congressman Ogles representing the 5th Congressional District and representing the state of Tennessee up in Washington, D.C. We haven't talked to Andy in a month of Sundays. Hello, Congressman. How are you, sir?
Man, I'm doing great. And by the way, I'm enjoying the back and forth between you guys. Keep it going. Like this is good stuff.
We're goofs.
Hey, I'm stuck here one more night, and but truly, hearing you guys, hearing your voices, familiar voices, it's great to be on the show. Appreciate your voice of conservatism. I do have an announcement for our veterans that's breaking news.
Let's go. Oh, I love that. Let's go.
And I know there's a lot of other things we want to talk about, but it's a project that I've been working on for about 2.5 years. But obviously our veterans, they serve our country. We make promises to them as far as healthcare goes. And so the Committee on Veterans Affairs just allocated $74 million to build it's called a CBOC, but it's a community-based outpatient clinic in Nashville to provide better care for veterans in Middle Tennessee. And we've got, I don't know, it's like 26,500 veterans just in Davidson County. So it's taken me 2 years to get that approved, but our veterans in Middle Tennessee will be better served with this project. Again, it'll cost about almost $75 million, but that's a huge win for our veterans. Promises made, promises kept, and I'll keep you posted as we have more information on building and when we're breaking ground and that kind of thing.
That's great news.
I literally just got this letter about an hour ago. It was just handed to me.
Well, that's fabulous news. Anything that we can do to better the services provided to our veterans, let's do it. And thank you, Congressman Ogles, for your participation in making that happen. That's excellent.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yes, sir. So fire away. What are we going to talk about today,
I thought we would be in so let's start here. I thought we would be in danger of having to avoid votes today. But the Speaker of the House decided that it would be best practice to go ahead and gavel out. The mainstream media are telling us that he did this primarily to avoid the Democrats trying to circumvent the process by throwing Epstein amendments on everything. What's your take on this? And look, I'm not asking you to disagree necessarily with the Speaker, but would you have preferred that we stayed and maybe got some more votes done prior to gaveling out a little bit early?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I'm always one of those voices that says, look, as we barrel towards another CR continuing resolution, let's stay here over the weekend. Let's work longer days. And let's get through the appropriations process. I mean, that normal, it's called normal order, which simply is creating a budget, hasn't been done up here in, 20 years. And so let's get back to that. That's how we really fix this thing. That's how we fix muscle memory. So I'll be look, I love my family and I love being in the district, traveling around the district. And again, going to the ice cream suppers with the ice cream events and the fish fries and all that. I mean, that's where it's at. That's where you connect with people. That's what keeps you grounded. But we have work to do, and I'll stay here and I'll work through our quote-unquote break to get this done. So Speaker's my friend. Until just recently, he was literally my roommate. And so I appreciate the Speaker, but let's stay here and get the work done. And look, this Epstein stuff, this is stuff we have to deal with. And it's something I think you're on the air every day or at least 5 days a week. You talk to people, you hear people, and I'm guessing they're telling you they want to know what the heck's going on.
100%.
So let's get it done.
100%. I mean, and look, I so appreciate, and I know that you do too, the success of the first 6 months. And I know that the president and the White House more generally, they're concerned that something like this that they had so little to do with might overshadow some of the successes. But I think we can do both at the same time. We can celebrate the successes. We can continue to move the ball forward in terms of transparency and deal with this. And I feel like the president, and I don't want to suggest I know his motivation too much, but you tell me, Congressman, I feel like he shifted on it. At first he said, get over it, we need to move on and do other things. Now he's saying, okay, if y'all want the Department of Justice to deal with this, I'm going to unleash Pam Bondi and let her try to get as much information to the American public as possible.
Well, I mean, so let's look backwards in time. You know, President Trump has been president for, 6 months, right? The Democrats had access to these files for 4 years. Senator Marsha Blackburn in 2023 tried to subpoena the Epstein files and get them released, and Democrat Dick Durbin blocked it. I mean, so let me tell you, if there was anything in there that remotely implicated the president, or any Republican for that matter,
Amen.
They would have released it.
100%.
They would have thrown a parade. They would have blown it out of proportion. But they didn't have anything. Now, look, there are ongoing investigations, which means some of this stuff may be slow to come out. But Pam Bondi has been deporting people and arresting child molesters and child traffickers. Meanwhile, she's also rooting out the corruption within the Justice Department. I mean, whether you like her or not, she's actually doing a good job. And so trust her to do a good job. And if she stops doing a good job, look, I've been going after Belmont, a great university in my hometown, because they've made a mistake, right? I'll be the first person to stand up on the Capitol steps and say, look, you made a mistake here. The American people expect better, but she's doing a good job. Tell me if I'm wrong. Show me where she's not doing a good job. But when they're deporting, murderers and rapists and not only across the country, but in Nashville, I consider that a victory for the American people because, oh, by the way, deportations are up, crime is down. We may actually hit a historically record low murder rate for history because of what she's doing. So again, let's give her a little room. All right. Now, at some point we have to revisit this conversation, but I just don't think there's anything there. I signed on to Tim Burchett's resolution to subpoena Maxwell, to bring her before Congress, to have her tell us what she knows.
Yep.
Because, again, one, the American people want to know. Quite frankly, I want to know. By the way, I'm not in the files. And I know that's going to disappoint some of the Democrats that are listening right now. But that being said, let's get to the truth. Let's move on, and then let's get back to the business of the American people, which is making sure that America first is what's on everybody's mind.
I think obviously the Epstein story is an important one because it goes back to the heart of the transparency promised by the Obama administration, transparency that we did not get for the 4 years that Biden was in the White House, and certainly during the term of Barack Obama. I think it's a much bigger story what's coming out of the Director of National Intelligence and her briefing earlier today and the file dump last Friday. I don't know how much you've been able to follow that, Congressman, but this conversation about the possibility that the President of the United States of America directed his Director of National Intelligence, the Director of the CIA, to gin up a report that more directly implicated Donald Trump for the purpose of subverting his presidency in 2017. This is huge, and it rises to the level of, if not treason, perhaps sedition. And I'm curious if you're following this story and what you have to say about it.
Yeah, I mean, it is. It's shocking that you had really this conspiracy. So, when you look back at the Russia hoax or, the collusion, we know now that it was manufactured. We know that they had evidence showing that there was no collusion, there was no influence, and yet they let that story move forward and amplified it. And so I'm no attorney. I'm guessing the immunity provision protects Obama from any sort of prosecution. Again, there's folks who are experts on this that can pontificate on that far better than I can. But I would say that there's other people, whether it's the Clintons, whether it's Garland, whether it's Comey, that had a hand in this, had knowledge of this, and they may very well face consequences.
Congressman Andy Ogles is with us. For the next few minutes, I want to talk about this Belmont story because this is pretty big, and a lot of people are sensitive to this story, and you just kind of alluded to it, Congressman, that Belmont is an esteemed university in our community. We love Belmont, but, when people do things wrong, we got to call them out, and this story came about, and you've called for a full investigation on this. Tell me how you discovered this, when you found out about it, and what you're asking of Belmont University and what you're able to do to lean in and get that information from them.
Yeah, so and to be clear, I mean, Nashville, we are so blessed in so many ways. Our geography, just the culture, great food and great music. The economy is fantastic. And we have these great educational institutions in Nashville, Vanderbilt, Belmont, David Lipscomb, you've got Meharry, you have TSU. I mean, we are rich with opportunity for people to come here to get great educations. But that being said, there is an executive order from the President of the United States, 14173, that prohibits any university receiving federal funds from implementing DEI programs, and Belmont thumbed their nose at the President of the United States. Now, what I will say is that yesterday there was, and by the way, to answer your question more specifically, a whistleblower
Okay.
came forward. We have more information that we have not released. Some of it, we'll see how this proceeds. Some of it, quite frankly, might actually need to be referred to the Justice Department, but that we will work with the Justice Department to see if that's necessary, because I want Belmont to do the right thing. By the way, they just opened a fantastic state-of-the-art medical school. You realize what that does to Nashville? And again, the opportunity for students who want to go to the university and become a doctor, be able to do it not only at Vanderbilt, but at Belmont. So they have the opportunity, but the Office of the President sent out an email. We were given a copy of it yesterday at around 3 o'clock, a little before. They're implementing, they're going to get a third party to come in to review their policies, identify any issues where they are in noncompliance with federal law. There's also a state issue for them as well, but we'll get to that in a second, so that they remain in good standing with federal regulations, rules, et cetera. And so this is the right step. There's been a recent story that both UT and Vanderbilt have been implicated in. I don't have all the specifics of that, but what I can say about both of those universities, they have been proactive in making sure that they're correcting and getting rid of any DEI programs, whereas Belmont, again, I want to be careful how I say this, but they've been slow to respond. But this email gives me hope that Belmont's going to do the right thing, that they're going to protect their brand and, quite frankly, their reputation and honor the president's executive order. And that being said, there's a Tennessee state law that states that you can't knowingly profit either directly or indirectly from illegals being in this country. Belmont has indicated through internal communications that they know they have illegals going to the university. They are receiving dollars on behalf of those students, whether through tuition directly or through federal aid. And so there's a profit issue there that they're going to have to deal with. And again, that's separate. But what I will say is they're moving in the right direction. We will continue to hold their feet to the fire because the president has spoken. He has written an executive order, 14173. You must be in compliance. It doesn't matter who you are, which university you are. There's a whole host of others that we are talking to as well that have similar violations, to hold them accountable, to make sure the indoctrination stops. I have a daughter going to college. I'm sensitive to this issue. I want her to go get a good education. I don't want her to be used and abused by the left and their rhetoric and their indoctrination and the nonsense. Hey, it's an area and opportunity for free thinking, but you can't discriminate that. And by the way, and I took issue with the chancellor, when you're reverse discriminating and quoting scripture, that does not necessarily make you a better Christian than your fellow man. It makes you a hypocrite. And so that's why we call Belmont to the task to fix this, to correct this. I'm glad they're quoting scripture. They have to come into compliance with federal law.
Well, and one of the reasons that I'm glad that we have you on to hear it from the horse's mouth, because so many of our left of center media organizations around town want to suggest that Congressman Andy Ogles is somehow anti-Belmont. You're just pro following the law. You're pro doing what Belmont needs to do to get in compliance. And if our friends at Belmont are making a mistake, when they get called out on it and they make corrective action, good for them. You don't have to be they want it one way or the other, right? They want you against the university when you call them out on things like this. And from what I'm hearing you saying, you're not anti-Belmont. You just want them to correct the mistakes.
Hey, for the record, I love Belmont. My daughter applied to Belmont. She was accepted to Belmont. I'm not going to go pick a fight
Right.
with Belmont because it's Belmont. I like Belmont. I'm going to do any. They're not in my district, but I will do anything I can to help our universities, to help Nashville, whether they're in the district or not. But at the same token, you can't reverse discriminate and then hide behind Scripture. All right, there are laws that prevent reverse discrimination, and they've made a mistake. But what I will say, and again, for the record, I love Belmont.
Yeah,
but they have to correct course here, and I think they're going to do it, and I'm glad for that.
Final thought and final question from me in the minute or two that we have left. We see these radical leftists, some of these paid protesters that are trying to sneak into these town halls, and I know that you've been doing a lot of telephone town halls as a result. Do you foresee an opportunity to get back to regular town halls where you can, be out and about? I mean, I know you go to a lot of events. Every time you're home, you go to events. But, several of our listeners are asking, is it possible that we get back to kind of a regular town hall structure and get these stupid radical activists out of there so that the people of the 5th Congressional District can speak with you?
Well, so two things. One, we're doing a town hall tonight, so a lot of your listeners will probably get a text. They can join the town hall this evening. But that being said, I have a relatively small district compared to others, but because of the density of the population, we opt to go to events around the community, and quite frankly, it gives you a different mix of individuals versus just a town hall. I'm not afraid or against holding a town hall, but at the same token, every weekend, every night I'm home, there's something to go to, and it's quite frankly logistically more streamlined to do those and touch more people, a wider range of people. Because look, there's not a lot of people that are necessarily going to get up off the couch to go see a town hall, but they're going to go to the ice cream supper. They're going to go to the fish fry. They're going to go to that dinner up. I mean, I was just at an event with like 200 people. I guess it was Saturday before last. And so it allows me to interface with more people than just those that are distinctly interested in politics. But I'm not against town halls. I mean, that's why I've been outspent in every election, and yet I outperformed Trump in the 5th Congressional District because I am the grassroots guy. I'm out there in the community as much as physically possible. I'm in an R9, meaning I have a 9-point advantage against a Democrat in the general election. Trump won it by 12. I think I won it by 17.8. And so that being said, but that's because I'm the grassroots guy, and I try to reach as many people as I can. I would like to think that our office has built quite the reputation on constituent services. I've been fighting for our veterans, and like I said, we're doing a town hall tonight. And
I'm glad that you brought us back to the veteran story, because that's a big story. $75-ish million in investment for our veterans in this community. Tell us more when you can about that, and thank you so much for your time availability today, Andy. We'll do it again very soon.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right. Take care. There's Andy Ogles, 56 after the hour on Super Talk.